Hello, perceptive readers. I started drinking tea yesterday, and now this morning several cups of tea in order to relate the information that I have for you this morning. Tea helps the voice, you see. And so here is what I want to say before I reference some words from Jesus, you see, from a translation that's in the New American Bible. You know, in the New American Bible, in between certain verses and paragraphs, they will give you what the topic is about. And when Bibles do this, still make sure as you're reading those paragraphs that then have that, that heading or that topic, that it really is sticking to what the topic is about. It's just that important in Bible translations. And for the most part, I haven't seen too many Bibles that didn't do this correctly. For example, in Matthew chapter 7, it starts off in verse 1, stop judging. And so the topic of Matthew chapter 7 verses 1 through 5, which is highlighted, it shows judging others. And so with that being mentioned, I want to share something with you. You know, experiences in life, I'm telling you, especially in these days that we live in, there are many attacks and manipulations upon our mind. And what this is designed to do is to map out all our likes, dislikes, and personality to such a degree that literally we would no longer be speaking or talking to one another at all. And some of these persons, in their deviousness, presumptuousness, taking the term God to such a level that the grand creator didn't even want them to take it to. So they promote all this type of intrusive learning and application of spiritistic technology as well to be able to do this, to conquer our minds, to know everything that we will do in whatever situation. And when they do that, they can literally put a human being in a state where they will just lose all awareness, right and wrong, etc. So this is a different way that the grand creator in heaven, enemy, has attacked all humans in this day and age. And so I'm sharing this with you in order to let you know that you can have empathy for when certain individuals go through this or go through that. I'm going to tell you also, as a part of mitigating circumstances, there are humans who were worked on, conditioned, and brainwashed for such an extended period of time that if they did something wrong in this way or that way, there are some individuals who literally didn't know that they did what they did in that way. And then you have a whole lot of fronting personalities and businesses today that may be saying that they're promoting one thing, and they actually have a variety of I'm going to just say offices in different areas of the economy as well. Okay. And so, it's almost like the only way you will be able to navigate through everything that I just talked about for the past 5 minutes is you have to ask questions. And if persons don't answer your questions, then, again, do they really have a leg to stand on if you don't give them what they're hoping that you will give them, because they're not being honest or upfront in the first place? That's how scammers function. That's exactly how scammers function. So Here it is in Matthew chapter 7. It's another chapter that goes to show you you are valuable. You have some good stuff in you. Matthew chapter 7 does show that. It also goes to show you as well to have a modest view of yourself, even though you have all this great stuff in you. Okay? And I'm telling you, it works for the most part to help a person stay humble and not to be presumptuous when they read Matthew chapter 7. Because all the same, even when two people have a disagreement with one another, when that happens, don't you think that Jesus knows exactly if the disagreements are genuine on both sides, or if one really had another ulterior motive in the first place? Yes, Jesus does know that. And that's why when I read to you in these accounts what Jesus says about certain matters, then you can be assured in your heart that, if this person don't like me or what have you, still look at the way that they came after me. Was that all warranted? Was that all necessary? You see what I'm saying? Making a mountain out of what they say a molehill. In some cases, some people, I told you, can become so offended and litigious at times that you can tell they were just looking for an excuse to come up against you. Unjustifiable reasons. You don't try to murder somebody for once again stepping on your toe. I'm going to tell you again, there's also other teachings that go opposite of Jesus' teachings. That it goes to show that for persons who want to hold on to such teachings for dear life, it's like you can believe what you want to believe, but if that is the way you function, if that is the way you move, according to this philosophy that you got here, even though you call it spiritual, then you know what? I can't allow that to affect myself or my loved ones or even my neighbor if I'm somewhere around it. For example, the teaching of hellfire. See, when I look at the teaching of hellfire, well, God will burn you forever if you don't want to be his friend, that is a false teaching. That's a false teaching. And yet I told you, people hold on to that for dear life. They want to believe it so bad. See, that's the same way I put now with the way people have talked about karma so much in people's life. I look at now, hellfire and karma is just another form of the teaching. And now, and some people would say, just two teachings of one coin, but on different sides. It's a different side of the same coin. That's the expression. Because the way that person's even mentioned karma at times, holding on to the way that they want to implement it and the way that they decided to implement it, I say again, the same coin, people just want to use or believe in it so much because they want to use it in a way of just hurting others. And so, we leave the judging up to Jesus. We also know from the scriptures what the penalty for practices of sin are. We also know, as people striving to be enlightened, so to speak, to do what's right, that even the most heinous of crimes that persons would commit, there is a spiritual elevation process that you use to address it, and then you just deal with it, you see. But that's not the way other persons use the harshness of other means, what they may even call discipline. And one more thing before I read these couple of scriptures to you is this. I am very thankful, as always, for the persons, and I'm sure you feel the same way about others too, who appreciate you for who you are, who appreciate me for who I am when I keep sharing with you and will continue to share. God wants us to be sane. He wants us to be sane. And so there's too much of a saturation as it is of many inaccurate views, even of correct reading of scriptures at times. Inaccurate views on the spirit of why something was said in this way or that way. And so it's beholding upon persons who love you to tell you really what it is. Just like, the illustration of searching for treasure. If you have a friend and a friend has been struggling finding this treasure, there comes a time where you have to put aside the stingy philosophies of the world and just say, here, this is where it's at. This is what you have. There you go. But I told you, the spirit and understanding of some of these matters of when to say when and to help somebody has either not been taught or just been lost upon very selfish and greedy people in this world today. And so what Jesus talks about here, it keeps in our mind not to be that way. We don't want to be that way. So notice what Jesus even said in Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. He said, do not give what is holy to dogs, or throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn and tear you into pieces. So the way that we deal with one another, even when there's a disagreement, do we go on the war path because someone has offended us in some way? Or do we handle the matter in a way that shows reasonableness and soundness of mind? And if there can't be, come to an agreement in such matters, do you know how to just leave the situation alone? Also, Jesus said, see, this goes to show the persistence in asking questions as well. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, he said, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. Which one of you would hand his son a stone when he asks for a loaf of bread? Or a snake when he asks for a fish? If you then, who are wicked, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your heavenly Father give good things to those who ask him? You see, there are certain philosophies in the world today that don't agree with those statements of Jesus at all. And I'm telling you, they make every type of personality reasoning on why not to do this or why not to talk to this person or ask about this or that. And it has its place. But yet, remember I told you before, there are certain teachings in the way that they will apply it is still even missing the spirit of when you just straight up should ignore somebody. And not throwing your pearls before swine. And when you really got a legitimate person here who's needing help and has no ulterior motive except but to really make their life better, certainly not to go around trying to tear down somebody else's life or their business in order to resolve some type of problem. Now, here is one more thought. In verse 15, verse 21, Jesus said, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, Did we not drive out demons in your name? Did we not do mighty deeds in your name? Then I will declare to them solemnly, I never knew you. Depart from me, you evildoers. And so I'm going to reference right back to Matthew chapter 7, verse 1, to stop judging and you won't be judged. Because there are many gifts and circumstances that people have around the world. What one person may be able to do over here, they certainly wouldn't be able to do over there. What one person has the ability to accomplish over there, they wouldn't have over here. And yet you'll have another individual with their circumstances that can. And so it may look like one person is doing great feats in one way, you see, while another really may be doing great feats still, even though it's in a smaller way. So you can't really judge somebody on what they're doing, how they're carrying out their, praises to God even, and making changes in their life. But see, that's what I want to emphasize again. Jesus knows whether we're putting on a front or not. And that's what Matthew chapter 7 verses 21 through 23 shows. He knows that. And so we continue to just apply the golden rule that he mentioned in Matthew chapter 7 as well. And we do the best we can. And I said we do the best I can. And yet we still can use the laws of the land to defend ourselves also. Okay? Take care. I hope you have benefited from this reading of the Holy Scriptures, also known as the Good Book and the Holy Bible, whose author is Jehovah God.